Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Maggie, and welcome to the M&M Debrief, the podcast where Mike and Maggie discuss the top stories in politics and sports and try to make sense of the headlines. Mike, do we have any follow-ups from the last episode?
I do not have any follow-ups. 2 weeks in a row, no follow-ups, sorry.
Well, there we are. I don't have any either. Excellent, so we can jump right in. You have some updates for us on the Iran war, is that right?
Yeah, for, the 6th, episode in a row, it's a lot of little things here and there, but, no real fire-up bombing yet. So we've got Iran. I'm not gonna say threatened because they usually just do everything they say, so it's not really a threat. But they have threatened to extend the conflict beyond the region if attacked. Exactly how far beyond the region and where?
It's a good strategy, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you can count on the Iranians is that they'll tell you what they're gonna do, and then they do it. So if they say they're gonna do something, they'll probably do it. They've threatened, if you go after our electrical grid, we're gonna go after your electrical grid. You go after our nuclear plants, we're gonna go after your nuclear plants.
Isn't that just like, taking hostages? I'm going to hit Saudi Arabia if you guys don't do X?
Yeah, in fact, that's I think we mentioned it on Tuesday. Is that was the reason that Trump, he said he authorized the bombings, and then about 2 hours later, he said he wasn't
Yeah.
gonna. Because one of the reasons was that Saudi Arabia said, "Hey, dude, they're gonna attack us if you attack them, so don't."
So there's some sort of proxy mechanism going on. I have to, give Iran the kudos for really good strategy, although obviously it's not in our best interests.
We might have a larger topic about what exactly we think is in our best interest. I know that we're in a war, and we're supposed to be on the side of America.
Right.
But, it might help us if we if we don't necessarily win. Maybe we'll, be less arrogant, and we'll be a little more judgmental or, judicious
Yeah.
rather in our picking of wars.
And when you say we, you mean Trump, right?
Yes, when I say we, I mean Trump. Maybe some of our leadership will be a little more judicious.
Learn for next time. Don't when Netanyahu walks in and sells you a bill of goods, maybe,
Eh,
sleep
yeah.
on it first.
Maybe listen to your own intelligence agencies instead
Listen
of,
to your vice president.
yes, maybe listen to your vice president. Listen to your own 18 defense agencies
Mhm.
instead of the one guy who's been wanting to go to war with Iran for 30 years.
Right.
And anyway, so the Iranians are now talking about licensing the cables that go beneath the Strait of Hormuz. For those of you that aren't all super in tune with the infrastructure of our world, there are numerous electrical communication cables under the ocean, on the ocean floor, all over the world, and one of them, or a few of them, are going through the Strait of Hormuz, so they might be charging Meta and Google and Amazon and all these guys a fee for using the cables that they run on the floor of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. It's a pretty bold but interesting tactic. They're always coming up with this good stuff. So whether that goes anywhere or not, or whether it's just bluster, I don't know. But they are definitely strong arming or large and in charge over the Strait of Hormuz. They've expanded it to kind of a region. I forget what they call it, but like the Persian Gulf navigation region, something like that, where they've kind of
Mhm.
expanded it toward the end of the peninsula and up a little bit. So, yeah, they are taking over, and they're really talking seriously about charging tolls for every ship that goes through. There was a few more ships that did go through, all non-American. I don't know, about 30 got through over the last week. So they are definitely exerting their pressure here.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's gonna get opened up.
Yeah.
It's just how? Are we all just gonna accept that they're in charge and they're gonna charge tolls and all this?
Mhm.
Or, will other countries, negotiate separately from the United States?
So, honey,
Hmm.
how is this different to a tariff?
It's a tax collected for commerce, so no
Yeah.
different. No.
A fee, a toll, a tariff, a tax. Isn't that just
Mhm.
Give me some money
I
if you
think
wanna do business.
Right, I think the difference would be that it's theoretically, it's an open navigation. It's the sea. It's not owned by anybody, theoretically. I mean,
Yeah, it's international waters, I
it's
get
supposed to
it. So
be
it's new,
international
but
waters. If you charge a tariff, it's tariff coming into your sovereign country. Territorial waters are 12 miles, and the Strait of Hormuz is only 1 miles wide. So, like the international, the borders kind of cross over from, I think it's Oman. That's actually on the other side of the border. Like there's no international water there, is what I'm trying to say, because it's so tight and the border. So, but yeah, you got a good point. It's just you want to pay to do business in America, I'm going to charge you a tariff. You want to pay to send your oil out through my strait, you're
they're
going to
gonna
charge a
charge you a
toll.
tariff or a
Right.
toll. Yeah.
Right, right. I think not very. This might be the strange new world that we're in, where they don't want to think of the strait owned by anybody, and now we have to start thinking about it being owned by somebody, and we'll see. Well, it's like we're getting a taste of our own medicine. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying that there is definitely a trend that was started by Trump to, assign these new tariffs or fees or taxes to any foreign country doing business with America. And, that was very disruptive to the international economy. And here we have Iran doing something similar with any goods and services coming through the Strait of Hormuz. And it is also going to be very disruptive to the international economy.
Yes, it will be. But I think I'm with you on there are some subtle differences, but logically, it's just another tax, right?
Yeah.
To do business.
Hey, if we can do it, they can do it. Well, now, not to be, thinking the worst, but who's to stop anybody else from doing the same thing? If Iran does it and they are successful at it, I think that anybody who's in a similar position around the world, I don't know, Panama, they'll do the same thing.
I agree with that. I think we talked about it way back one of our earlier episodes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's a handful more than just the Panama Canal, the Suez Canal.
Mhm.
There's that strait, the Scarborough Strait over Malaysia or by China or
That's
whatever.
right. You mentioned
Yeah, the difference would be the ability to shut it down. I mean,
to
if
really manage it and control it. Yeah.
right, so if Panama wanted to shut the Panama Canal down, yeah, I'm pretty sure we could just bomb Panama and take it over.
Right. Right.
But, Iran is it's a different it's a
Mhm.
geography situation, plus they're loaded up to the gills with drones in Iran, so I
Right.
don't think, so, yeah, there is logically, yeah, what's to stop, Egypt from shutting down the Suez Canal,
Mhm.
or Malaysia. There's a strait that goes through Malaysia that, is very, it's just straight up military. The Iranians got everybody by the balls because they got the gun, they got the weaponry.
Mhm.
That's the big difference.
Right.
Let's see. We've got this flotilla. I don't know if you've seen a second freedom. I don't know, freedom flotilla. This is a what is it? Non-government NGO, non-government agency, or a bunch of people from
Mhm.
Europe trying to evacuate some Palestinians out of Gaza. And Israel, which you think would want something like this. They want to get rid of as many Palestinians as possible. This saves them the trouble of having to kill them. So you think they would allow this, but of course they're getting on the Mediterranean Sea and stopping these flotillas that aren't armed or anything, and taking these people in as detainees.
Mm.
This time it's a little different because the guy named, I forget his first name, but his last name is Ben Gavir, I think,
Mhm.
defense minister or something.
When in Israel.
Just
Okay.
yeah, of all the biggest jerks in the Zionist world, he's gotta be in the top 3, this guy. He's, like, mocking them. This is a guy who just had a birthday, and on his birthday cake, they had a hangman's noose because they just passed a law where they can just hang any random Palestinian that they like. And he was mocking them, and it got caught on video, and the world, and even Netanyahu had to come out and say, "Yeah, this is not our values. We don't do this." I mean, when even when you go too far for Benjamin Netanyahu, you screwed up. Maybe if you want to check, I forget the guy's first name, but his last name is
Itamar. I'm
It's
reading it. Edamar. Yeah.
Ben Gavir, yeah.
Yeah,
So
Ben-Gvir.
if you wanna read up on this, you can just Google the guy and just making fun of these people, and all they're trying to do is get people out of there to get them fed or, get them in a hospital or whatever they need. So, you got, like, 15 million views or something, some astronomical number of people who have seen this, so just him being a jerk, so
Yeah.
we'll see if anything happens. For the first time, I think Israel has acknowledged some damages. They've acknowledged that some recent damage to a couple of their airports. I don't know exactly how many airstrips or airports they got in Israel, but they
Uh-huh.
are starting to acknowledge some damage, which is they've had a super tight media blackout that they're starting to acknowledge, yeah, they hit some airports and they're getting close to some nuclear plants. So they are acknowledging some hits there. I don't know if it means anything, but the media is loosening up a little bit,
Okay.
or the information. And then this is kind of a sidebar. I think we're putting 5,000 troops into Poland.
Right.
We're gonna pull them out of Germany. We just pulled them out of Germany
He pulled
two
him out of
weeks ago.
Germany, and I believe that he was considering or said something about either removing them or from Poland, but now he's sending troops to Poland. So
Yeah,
is this
yeah,
another
the
taco or
the thing with Russia is I've heard Russia, Ukraine. I've heard both sides of Russia. On one, I've heard a number of people say that Russia is about to invade Poland. I think Poland's on a border with Russia, right? I'm pretty sure. I
Ukraine? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard a few people say, yeah, well, Russia's about to invade Poland, which is why they're
Mhm.
putting the 5,000 troops in there. And then the exact opposite, I've heard a few people say, Russia's about to collapse, and Putin is about as weak as he's ever been, and there's a real danger of coup. I don't know about a coup, but some sort of collapse in Russia. So I really don't know what to think about that. I have heard both ends of it. I know Russia's going to get aggressive, and then all of a sudden they're going to collapse.
Mm.
A couple weeks ago, they had that the Victory Day parade that they had to
Right.
scale down because they were worried that a drone,
They would get hit by the
Ukrainian
drones from
drones,
Ukraine.
right,
Yeah.
right, right, and Ukraine is starting to incrementally get a little bit of land back, but then I hear they're going to invade Poland, so I don't know. There's going to be there's a lot of pent up energy here. Just don't know which way it's going to go.
Right. So I'm just reading that there's 10,000 troops in Poland right now, and he was going to remove 4,000, but now he's putting back 5,000. So he was going to cancel the deployment of 4,000, but now he changed his mind and he's putting 5,000 there. So who the heck knows? Yeah. Um, I know
Yeah.
that Putin's having a hard time right now, even though they've been doubling down on their attacks on Ukraine last week. They're weak.
Yep. So, all right, that's all I got on the war, unless you got something else.
No, I do not.
Ooh, all right. So let's go to the other war, which is our domestic politics. We're fighting a two-front war here.
We are.
So, let's see. So there's been a few things in the last few days, but before we get in, all politically related, but well, everything's politically related, I guess. But before I get into that, the Democrats seem to have found a way around temporarily, probably. Around Trump's ballroom funding. He was going to squeeze it into a bill, an immigration bill, I think he was, and they were arguing about who is actually in control of the White House. It's like the Park Service or there's another agency, and they ended up in a
Mm.
parliamentarian issue said you can't put this into the immigration bill because it's not about immigration. So the
Oh, no.
parliamentarian ruled against Trump, and so immediately he's talks about trying to get her fired. So we were wondering who the next person was to get fired, and apparently it's the lovely woman, honest, good-hearted woman who's the Senate parliamentarian. Is about to get her ass fired because she did her job.
Right, but she's not really getting fired, is she?
I don't. It's just talk at this
Just talk.
point.
Yeah.
Just talk.
He's just
Uh,
mad.
Yes, just mad. Yes. So speaking of who the next person is to get fired, Tulsi
Mm,
Gabbard, we're recording this today at 5:30 on Friday night, and Tulsi Gabbard is resigning. I guess she didn't get
see,
fired, apparently. I haven't done a lot of research on this, but I word on the street is that they forced her to retire,
really?
and I believe her husband is very ill.
Well, she said that her husband has a rare bone cancer, but you're hearing that they are
Yeah,
forcing her out.
well, yeah, that I saw a headline about forcing her out, so I don't know that, but it would be a very thing like the Trump administration to, "Hey, you're gonna go you wanna go take care of your sick husband? Screw that, we're gonna fire you," and she says, "Okay, I'll just resign." I don't know if it's job related. Well, if it's job related, the entire cabinet would be fired, but,
You've
so
said
anyway.
before that people think that she's a Russian asset.
Yeah, that's, a lot of well-informed people, more well-informed than me, cannot think of another way the way she acts and the things she says. The only explanation they have is that she's a Russian agent. Either that or extremely sympathetic to the Russian point of view. And, and as far as her job, I don't know how good of a job. I don't know how good of a job anybody can do for Trump. I mean, you're limited. You try to be an honest broker. You're fired. You
How
don't
is
you
how is
don't do
good
your
performance measured in the Trump
yeah,
administration?
right. And yeah, it's random. I don't
Doing
know.
what he asks.
And Tulsi Gabbard was a middling representative back in the day and made a power move to kind of get into the MAGA world. She ended up being the DNI. What it's going to help her on later on. I feel bad for her husband and her husband. I don't know. It just means anything. I don't know what she said to him about the Iran war. If she told him not to go, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. If she told him you should go, that wouldn't surprise me a bit either.
Well, he would ignore her anyway.
If he wanted to do it, if she told her not to do it, he'd ignore her. Otherwise, she'd just tell him what she knew he was already gonna do just to kiss his ass. Who knows? I don't know. She's out. The next person's in. I don't know.
Right.
Let's see. Thomas Massey lost his primary. $35 million of APAC and other Israeli money comes in, and all the AI commercials that are on Fox News, all the
American Israeli funding. Yeah.
yeah, and then the only people who vote, or not the only people, but the majority of the people who vote in the primaries are elderly people who are all just watching Fox News, and they're getting all these AI commercials, and kaboom! He loses by 10 points in a district that Trump won by 35 points.
Mhm.
So anyway, this is the one indication, don't go against Trump and don't go against
Yeah.
Israel. You got the double whammy. He went against Trump for the Epstein files,
Right.
and he went against Israel for the war. So that's the double
So
whammy.
right, and it's really bad for the rest of us because it means that the Republicans are even more afraid of standing up to Trump. Now, that said, now that Thomas Massey is formally, no longer in the running, he can speak up and he can vote against Trump all he wants because he's nothing to lose anymore. The same with Cassidy, right?
Yeah, I mean, what
Louisiana.
what their fellow representatives or senators will do, I don't know, but yeah, Thomas Massey could take the names of every person he saw in the Epstein files and just go out on the floor and read them.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Mhm.
Mike Johnson could do his shenanigans and make sure
Mhm.
Massey doesn't get to speak or
Right.
stuff like that.
Right. Cornyn as well. I mean, he no longer has Trump's support.
Hmm.
Trump backed Paxton. People are very upset with Trump about that because Cornyn was very loyal to the party. He generated a lot of money for his fellow representatives in Texas and the rest of the country. So he is well loved. And the fact that Trump backed Paxton, who is already in a lot of trouble and has a lot of lawsuits, et cetera, and ethics violations. The Republicans are really unhappy with Trump right now. So, and they, like I said, now you're getting past the primaries. And so it's too late for Trump to do anything to really primary any of the representatives. So who knows? Maybe they'll find their balls, my French. They'll be able to stand up a little more, maybe around the ballroom and the slush fund and things.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll take whatever I can get these days.
I'm telling you, they're freed up now. What have they got to lose?
Yep. Yeah, true. We'll see what happens. I know I put this under politics, but it was Stephen Colbert's last day
Yes.
yesterday, who had a nice 11-year run on CBS after he did the Colbert Report for a long time. I think that was right about when Trump got elected, and there was kind of doubt about how he would do, but he just crushed it. He was pretty sure he was number one, and this is just them asserting power. Larry Ellison or Barry Weiss at CBS, although she's CBS News, but yeah, the Ellison family, which is huge right wing and Israeli supporters. Yeah. He's done. So if on one side you got it's a political retribution argument, and on the other side you've got cost. He's got like 200 people running his show. They spend a lot of money to put that show on, and it was a lovely show. It's just might be just a cost cutting thing with AI, or if you're on the political side of it, he just got axed because he was criticizing the president so much. So I'm not sure
I
which
obviously
is right, but
that's why he got axed, and that's why Trump is going after the other late nights because they mock him.
mhm.
And mocking an authoritarian is a very effective way to really defeat them and bring them down. So Trump is doing the smart thing by trying to get rid of them and silence them. And, it's really unfortunate that they were successful with Colbert. Obviously, Kimmel was able to stay in. But if you start silencing those comedians from mocking our government leaders, that will be a very sad day for
Yep.
America.
Yep, I agree. Got any other domestic issues there, huh?
I do not. I
All
do
right.
not. I know we're gonna talk about money in a minute, so I'll save my
Yeah.
thoughts for that.
Yeah, we ain't got none. How about that? So let's get to the business report. In a surprise move, the BP on the corner, 4.99 on Friday before Memorial
Just
Day
below
weekend.
$5.
Okay, this one threw me for a loop. I gotta tell you. So I mean, are gas stations kind of just eating their gas, so to speak? Whatever money they make on gas, they're just gonna give it at cost and try to make up the money elsewhere so that they can get some business. Is it gonna go up to 5.50 tomorrow morning after everybody leaves town? What the hell? I'm shocked, frankly, shocked.
Right. So what would be the reason why the price of gas is dipping down again?
Well, these guys are savvy. They know everybody around and they know what people are talking about. So the simplest thing is that their cost went down. Something may have happened with the strategic petroleum and more internal oil. The first option is just play it straight. Did their costs go down? Maybe they just played it straight and their costs are down a little bit because of some other stuff within the oil industry here, kind of a last gasp before the supply gets cut by 20%. Maybe they're doing some shenanigans to try to, I'm talking about it on a
Get
podcast
people to
here.
buy more Dunkin' Donuts coffee? Make it up?
Yes. Yeah, maybe they got, "Oh, I got an extra $4. I'm gonna go in and get a cup of coffee and a donut." Honestly, I don't I'm not quite tuned into the mechanics of the price there on a day-to-day basis, but
Mm,
maybe corporate came down, BP called them and said, "Get your prices below 5 right now." Maybe it was a corporate order on these franchise gas stations.
mhm.
I don't know. I'm shocked, frankly shocked.
Well, it is unusual, and the actual price per barrel has not gone down. It's still up at, 100.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the mechanics of gas and oil pipeline and supply chain it's like six-dimensional chess
Mm,
with some calculus
right.
thrown in there. Uh, I don't
California is still 614.
I not
Washington is 578. Hawaii is 564.
yeah, that would be the average. Right? We're on one
For
specific
those
gas
states.
station right outside Chicago.
Well, Illinois is at 501, so
Yeah,
That's kind
maybe
of ballpark.
maybe the state's doing something. Maybe there's a tax relief here, tax freeze. Maybe I didn't see anything on the news about that, but could be any number of things. So let's if it keeps going down, then I won't know what to do.
Nobody is actually saying that the average is down. It's we're just talking about our local on the corners.
This is just local on the corner
Yeah,
on a big driving holiday weekend,
right.
and maybe they were doing reverse psychology. I don't know.
Mhm.
All right. Anyway, any other big news? This is Kevin Warsh. We got a new Fed chairman, Kevin Warsh, who I think I mentioned this before is one of the one or two actual competent people that Trump has nominated.
Shocking.
Yeah, he leans right, but he's well regarded. I think, unfortunately, I think he's going to try to lower rates. So here's the monkey wrench in the whole thing: is that Jerome Powell is still on the board. So we all focus on the Fed chairman, but there's actually 12 people on the board. Obviously, the Fed chairman has some influence, and Jerome Powell still has a major amount of influence. He's just not the Fed chairman anymore. You know, Warsh can, try to lead policy through the media or something. But and if Trump wants him to lower rates and he wants to lower rates and everybody else doesn't, it's still a vote. It's still 12 people to vote. So I personally think lowering rates would be astronomically stupid considering the
Everybody would agree. Right.
inflationary. But Trump being the guy he is about the stock market and business, he wants lower rates so they can keep borrowing money because that's what we need to do. We need to borrow more money.
This is what you would do if you want to get into a recession or bankrupt the country, right? I mean, Trump, I understand, has put a lot of his own money, his own investments into some of these, Nvidia, et cetera, where he obviously has the power to influence their financial performance on the stock market. And so he's making money hand over fist. He wants to keep the stock market going because he personally benefits, you know? So, yeah, he probably wants Kevin Warsh to be able to lower interest rates to keep juice in the market, but it's going to just cause inflation for the rest of us, and he doesn't care about us. So there,
Or make inflation
yeah,
worse.
right.
Yes, glad you mentioned something that the government, the U.S. government, is actually starting to invest in some private companies. They bought 10% of Intel a while ago, and there are
Isn't that
a
communistic?
yes, definitely.
Why is nobody raising the alarm?
Well, people who are real left-wing progressives should be kinda happy. It's like, the means of production or whatever is like Karl Marx. Here's a shout out to Karl Marx, Das Kapital. The means of production controlled by the government, so they're starting to invest more in various companies, AI-related stuff, futuristic stuff, and, which I'm
Right.
aghast. I'm frankly aghast at that, but, they're doing it, so
I would love to talk to an economist about the pros and cons of that approach.
Alright, any economists out there who want 10 minutes on the M&M debrief, feel free to reach out to my executive producer and schedule an interview. Hmm. That's all I got. It's the holiday weekend. That's all I got for business. I do have one more weird thing
All right.
under. Do you have anything for the business? I think you kind of alluded that you might have some business related comments.
I was just talking about the slush fund. It sounds like I mentioned earlier, maybe because the primaries are kind of done and a lot of these current Republican representatives who were primaried out by Trump, now they are completely free to be able to vote as they wish. So you're seeing a lot of them actually now speak up and vote against the slush fund. And they truly are afraid of going back to their to their constituents to say that they voted for it. So what I'm hearing the Republicans talk about is ways to lessen the impact, maybe have the commission be, more independent and actually oversight by the Congress. Any of these little tweaks is not going to be acceptable to Americans. Rest assured. There is nothing else that we are looking for except completely get rid of this damn slush fund, which is just a corrupt way allowing Trump to create a militia that will do his bidding and basically be in his pay. So I'm
Yeah,
that's
he's
all.
managed to piss off both sides. I think both sides are equally pissed off at this whole thing.
And the ballroom now, they're also I think you said they removed that from the reconciliation bill?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it still could go through separately. I mean, you never know, but
Yeah. So
anyway.
there's a whole part of my someday I'll spend more time on it, but if you really wanna look at the numbers, Trump is spending, like, money like a drunken sailor. He's making us bankrupt, and he needs to stop spending, and, remember, he's spending our money, and it's completely he's spending it on silly stuff, decorations and ballrooms and reflection pools, and I guess I read that the new arch just got approved from his design team, which is all put in place by him.
Mhm.
And, I'm just really sick of all the spending, and it's making me ill. Just thinking about all the money that's being wasted as people can't pay for gas and they can't pay for their groceries. It's really wrong. So that's the big stuff that I have to say.
Alright, we'll have to apologize to the Navy. I'm sure the Army, Marines, and the Air Force spend just as much when they get drunk as the Navy guys do.
Well, yes, no slight against the actual sailors. They deserve every drink they got, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I got
My
one.
brother was a sailor. There you go.
Yes, Maggie's brother was in the Navy on the JFK, I believe,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Alright, so we're big Navy fans here. So,
And he liked
uh,
to get drunk too. Just saying.
I remember seeing it.
Yes.
Anyway, I got one weird thing. I got the, this is what I saw, but it's just a little odd. This is still might be a conspiracy, but I think it's kinda real. So, a couple days ago on Fox News, there was this fellow named Robert Harward, not Howard, but Harwa
Harwood. Harwood.
Har Harward. He's a ex-vice admiral, and speaking of the Navy, he was in a vice admiral in the Navy, and he was on Fox News speaking about the war, and at the bottom, so he's a bald guy, totally bald, and at the bottom of his neck, right above his T-shirt, there was a clear gap, and it was incredibly obvious that he was wearing a mask, or it seemed like, one of these flexible masks that people put on, and it sure looked like he had one of these things on, and if you look at his face, it looks kinda normal. These masks are pretty good. If this was really him wearing a mask, they're pretty good, and it just if you look at the video of this and at the base of his neck, it sure looks like he's got a mask on, and it's kinda, gapping away from his chest there at the bottom of his neck, and
When
people are
you
just
say a mask, you don't mean one of those little light blue masks you wear during COVID.
No, I'm talking about I don't know if you guys out there know that, but there's a new, technology, I guess we'll call it. This is a complete rubber shell you put over your face, and you basically look like a different person, and this is pretty decent technology. If you just look at the guy while he's talking, he looks kinda normal, but then you look kind of at his neck and you go, "What the hell is that?" And I'm still trying to figure out whether this is I don't think it was
Okay.
BS, it was on Fox,
Oh, we're gonna need to look into this, honey,
so
and the
we so
people on
we
Fox seem to be okay with it.
yeah, and so I just had heard of this, and so we're still looking into it. Maybe double check, but you wanna Google the guy, Robert Harward, Vice Admiral in the Navy on Fox News wearing a mask. Just Google it, check it out for yourself. I'm still checking it out. I think I don't wanna say it's too weird to say for sure whether it's true or not, but it just looks kinda weird.
Alright, well, we'll definitely have to
And everybody knows what this guy looks like, so if he's gonna put a mask on, he's gonna put a mask on to make himself look like himself.
well, I'm just, like, popping it up right now, I'm seeing that even in the Times of India is asking, "Is that a mask?"
Right, like, the entire world is like, "Is that guy wearing a mask?"
That's bizarre.
Well, why would he wear a mask to make himself look like himself? I don't know. 'Cause well, you're not gonna put a mask on and look like somebody else, right?
Weird. Okay,
So,
well,
might
we're
be
definitely we'll be following up on that, right?
might be BS. Is it Halloween? I don't know. Is it no, it's May, never mind. Anyway, might be too weird, might be kinda goofy, but we'll see.
Well, we can't leave it out there hanging. We will
Well,
follow up one
we
way or
definitely will have a follow-up on
yeah,
Tuesday about this.
alright, excellent. Okay. Are we done then?
I think we're done.
Alright, well, that's all we have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, we're on We're on YouTube, and please follow us. If you know anybody else who would enjoy us, please go ahead and share it with them. Thank
Thank you for listening.
you.
Thank you for listening. 13.
Bye bye.